I'm not quite there yet. I'm close. I'm close. I'm ready to turn the page. Forget about that 34-32 loss to Illinois. However, before that happens, I have some grades I need to hand out.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you again for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network your first listen every single day, whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you want to download this podcast. This show is always going to be free. The show is always going to appreciate your support. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Before I can move on, I need to know where mistakes were made. Especially, they need to know where the mistakes were made, so we can learn from them, right? Hopefully, nobody makes these same mistakes twice. You don't want to have that reputation of being a team that can't learn from their mistakes, can't develop, can't move on. It's never a good sign. You always want to have the teachers that are able to find a way to connect, make sure they're getting the best out of their pupils, or in this case, the coaches getting the best out of their players. But sometimes the players have to, do their part as well. Anyways, got to get some grades out so we can flush this thing. They can take their report cards home to mom and dad and say, hey, look what we did, look what we didn't do. Some might cheat and try and change the grades. We'll see. Some of these position groups pass with flying colors, while others, like I said, they're trying to figure out how to change their grade without mom and dad noticing. Remember when we were in school, how you would learn how to take that minus next to your letter and turn it into a plus? So had to make sure you have the exact type of pen that worked, or how you would take that D grade and form it into a B. We've all been there, right? Well, I've been there. I'm going to start with my coaching grades. I thought Lincoln Riley called a fantastic game offensively, up until there was 2 minutes left on the clock. I'm not going to rehash this. I especially loved the extra credit trick play, out of that wildcat look. I mean, that was one of the best trick plays I've seen in a long, long time. That alone got an A+. However, again, that decision to go for the touchdown with so much time left on the clock, and your defense not playing complementary football, that drags his grade down to a B+. Again, I thought Coach Riley called a really, really good game. I get the argument. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole anymore. This is my grade. You grade your own way. But I do give Coach Riley a B+, maybe even an A- for the way he, called plays on that game. Now, Coach Lynn, on the other hand, the other side of the ball, defensive coordinator Dan Lynn. Let's see if your mom noticed that D grade that you and your assistants received. It was not a good performance on you guys' side of the ball. I mean, after the first half, nothing really changed other than the scoreboard. I didn't see too many adjustments. And look, I get missing Kamari Ramsey and the secondary being young, missing some guys back there. Nevertheless, the tackling, the attack angles, the lack of pressure on the Illinois quarterback, that was really startling to me. And I understand the competition level much better, but like, you guys no-showed. The D-line disappeared. I don't think I've ever given an F grade. Maybe if I have, someone to remind me. I don't remember doing it. I bet there's always a first time. The USC defensive line combined for 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss, and they jumped offside again. That was, by the way, that was on a 3rd and 5. Again, that's not the first time that's happened this year. And the team committed another personal foul penalty. Again, that happens every game. So, that group, did not have a good game. I hate giving him an F, but I got to do it based on performance. The edge guys, they need to get better. Period. The guys, the entire defensive line was pushed around, pushed back on run plays. They were stood up on the pass rush. The interior, they need to find that inner strength and come ready to punch Michigan's O-line in the mouth. You want to do that before Michigan punches you. I'm just saying. To say I was disappointed, that would be a major understatement. The linebackers, they're getting a low C. I'm not quite a C minus, but close. Eric Gentry, he cannot carry this group every week. So I guess my message is to Desmond Stevens, you need to play bigger, faster, stronger. He's been really slow to react on run plays. Chris Arledge pointed this out on Inside the Trojan Huddle this week. Check that out. But I don't know. I'm just starting to wonder, is it by design? Is he supposed to be, kind of diagnosing and then all of a sudden taking up a man? Something's not working. It doesn't look right. What I know is I don't think USC has your typical Mike linebacker, that thumper that you need to play in the Big Ten Conference. And I get it. Desmond's first year, full-time starter, middle linebacker. Nevertheless, second year in the system, his production needs to pick up. And I'm not just talking about statistically. Because if that combination isn't going to work, show me more Jaden Walker, show me more Tamir Robinson. Is Anthony Beavers unavailable for some reason? I know he likes to mix it up. But here's the thing. The D-line wasn't the only student taking home an F grade. And I cannot figure this one out for the life of me. Why the three wise men on defense, Antonlynn, Doug Belk, Trovon Reed, why they can't find an answer for the corners. I mean, they're hard to watch. And the secondary in general in that game, they were stanky. Not stinky, stanky. I mean, it was one of these. It was terrible. By the way, if you're listening, you're not watching on YouTube, I plugged my nose like you were carrying out a baby's diaper. It was that kind of stank. Outside of DeCarlos Nicholson's, cornerback blitz for a sack, and you had Christian Pierce doing the fumble recovery, there was absolutely nothing else to talk about from that group. Nothing. All right, enough of the negativity. The offense, I thought they played pretty damn good ball, and it's really, they're the only reason this team did not get blown out. The only reason they lost by 2 points. The best grade on the day goes to the tight end room, A+. I mean, Chad Savage has these dudes playing at an elite level. Those catches from Walker Lyons and Lake McCree over the middle, I mean, monster. Incredible. The toughness they show. And they don't just run great routes and catch the ball. They also block in the run game. Huge day. Combined for 7 catches, 98 yards. Right now, they are USC's wide receiver 3 until somebody else steps up. I'll tell you what. Screw the interception. Forget those couple of bad throws that Jaden had, especially on that 4th down. That was a little bit, I'm not sure if the freshman wide receiver ran the best route. Still, again, those are one of those plays where you're like, he probably wants that throw back. But Jaden Mayaba still gets an A from me. I saw what I wanted to see, especially this was in a hostile environment. His decision-making outside of that interception was excellent. Still 70% completion rate. Still had 2 touchdowns. Would have 3. We know what happened with that ineligible man downfield. I mean, he made some unbelievable throws. But here's the thing. This is why his grade is so high. The biggest thing I saw, it was the trust between him and his teammates. You can act, it's tangible. You can see it. They know that Jaden can make the throw and he can help. He can make a play when they need it. He's not going to be perfect, but I've seen enough now. I am a firm believer in Jaden Mayaba being able to lead this team for the rest of the season. Didn't get the win, but he was not the reason they lost against Illinois. Not even close. Probably all of his mistakes combined don't even come up to 1% of why USC lost. The wide receivers, I'm going to give them an A. Here's why. Makai Lemon. Yeah, there was a dramatic pause there for a reason. He was an A+. The other guys, I'm going to give them a B+. Makai had 11 catches for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. And as I mentioned, he was on the receiving end of that great trick play out of the Wildcat formation with Waymon Jordan and Jaden Mayaba. He would have had 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards receiving. I guess the question is, can he beat Travis Hunter? Can he play cornerback as well right now? I know he can play cornerback. He's got that ability. So, again, until the rest of the room can develop a third wide receiver, and I get it, guys are hurt. Nevertheless, on this game alone, the guys get a B+. I'm going to give the offensive line a B. And considering the circumstances, I mean, remember, Elijah Page, he was injured. He didn't play. Killian O'Connor left in the second quarter. And they still only give up 1 sack. This was the first game where they played a team that had what many consider an elite edge pass rusher, Gabe Jackus, not sure how you pronounce it, Jackus. Number 17, he's really good. He combined for half a sack on that grounding call that Jaden was levied a flag with. But other than that, I mean, you're not going to say, well, he really impacted the game. He made life difficult for USC's offensive line and for Jaden Mayaba. He had a good game, but he wasn't the terror that many people thought he might be. So, again, with the reshuffling of the deck chairs on the offensive line, I thought those guys really handled themselves well, acquitted themselves fantastic. So give some flowers to Zach Hansen. He's got that room playing at a very high level. Running backs, C. Again, Waymo was good most of the game, but that fumble, at the start of the game, it's problematic. That's the second time this year. Talk about that more in the third segment. We talk about discipline versus aggressive. Special teams, I don't know, off day, but right now they're getting, they need to work on their kick return. I'm not going to give them a letter grade. I'm going to give them a pass. I know some schools like to do pass, no pass. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings about separating A's from B's and C's. So special teams, you get a pass. They need to get their kick return blocking in order, do better. And there's never an excuse for having a penalty on a point after attempt. So clean that up. Come back strong in 2 weeks against Michigan. All right, so there are the grades. We're turning the page. We're going to wipe it away. Still not done talking about the game. I mean, it's going to kind of get intermingled here with the next couple segments that's coming up. I talked about, we know who wide receiver 1 is. I think we understand who wide receiver 2 is on the team. 1A, 1B, Makai Lemon, Jacoby Lane. But who's number 3? Who's number 3? Who is wide receiver 3? And the third segment I'm going to talk about, is it undisciplined or is it aggressive? That's coming up next. One of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly known as Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. Whether every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7, because every customer conversation counts. It's not whether, it does. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so there's no more carrying around 2 phones or relying on a landline. Whether you're a solo operator juggling everything or part of a larger team, Quo makes it easy to stay responsive and professional. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly known as Open Phone. Get started free, and you're going to get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's QUO.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got an existing number with another service, no problem. Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Look, is Jacoby Lane Is Jacoby Lane as a decoy, is he better than putting someone else out there? I mean, we know Makai Lemon is him. He is the guy. In fact, he is the nation's #1 wide receiver. He is wide receiver 1 for the country. Pick a team, and I'm going to put Makai Lemon up against Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, Ryan Williams at Alabama. You name him, I got Makai Lemon. He is my fantasy draft choice. #1 overall pick. He's making a really strong argument to be USC's next Biletnikoff winner. And here's the thing. When you get a healthy and a focused Jacoby Lane, that gives USC the best 1-2 punch tandem in college football. However, right now, Zacharias Williams, you have Prince Strawn. They're dealing with injuries. You have the freshman, Tanuk Hines. He's stepping in. It's an opportunity for him, but he's still a freshman. And, USC just played their 5th game. But you also have the vets. You've got, guys like Jay Fair, Jaden Richardson. Jaden got a bunch of reps on Saturday. And he was just targeted 3 times. He had 2 catches on those, 15 yards. So 7.5 yards per catch. Here's my question. Here's where I'm coming from. Lane played a lot, despite being 100%. And by the end of the game, he was targeted 4 times. Most of that happened in the 4th quarter. He caught the ball all 4 times. But the other times he was out there, most of the time he was a decoy. In essence, USC was playing 10 on 11. And I think Illinois' defense understood that, because when you're not looking Lane's way, they're going to stop shading over. They're not going to give any help. And despite all that, Makai still found a way to, have 11 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. The dude is amazing. I mean, right now, the tight end position is USC's best 3rd wide receiver option. Lake McCree, Walker Lyons, they have been freaking awesome, making some insane catches. And just watch the film against Illinois. It speaks for itself. I mean, they are literally, right now, what the doctor prescribed. It's what they need. I mean, it's literally the tight end production. It's made Coach Riley's offense almost unstoppable, especially when the run game is emphasized. Play action right now, chef's kiss. So here's my question, right? If USC needs a big wide receiver while Jacoby gets healthy, or Zacharias and Prince get healthy, why not Joey Olsen? Where has he been? His name hasn't appeared on any of the injury reports. I'm just wondering, why? Makai and Jacoby, look, those guys can carry the group when both are 100%. Makai has shown he can carry the room without Jacoby being 100%. However, I'm a little surprised, one of those vets like Jay Fair or Richardson, why they haven't stepped up and built a larger role for themselves. Here's the thing. As long as the tight ends keep doing tight end things, and Makai keeps playing like the best wide receiver in the country, I have a feeling Lane will be closer to 100% for that Michigan game. But we do need to find a 3rd wide receiver at the halfway point of the season. Yeah, I love the tight ends being involved. And there's nothing wrong with having your tight end being wide receiver 3. But you should be able, in Lincoln Riley's offense, when you run a lot of 3 and 4 wide receiver sets, find somebody out of that room. And I get it. Injuries are an issue. Hopefully, by the time that Michigan game rolls around in 2 weeks, both Zacharias and Prince will be able to contribute. Speaking of that Michigan game, before we go on to the 3rd segment, game has a kickoff time. Yep, 4:30 prime time, NBC TV, Peacock Network. Game sold out. Look, USC has a chance to do what Illinois did when they played their next game after suffering a bad loss. USC suffered a bad loss to Illinois, different type of bad loss. It wasn't a woodshed game. They didn't lose like 53 points. But, you want to be able to forget that last bad game, make a statement. Do what Illinois did. Show that you still belong. You can play physical football, because that's what Michigan's bringing to the table. So what I'm telling the fan, Illinois fed off the energy in that stadium. Guys, it's sold out. You need to get there early. You need to pack the Coliseum. You need to step up. Do not let the Michigan Wolverine faithful make this a pseudo home game for the Maize and Blue. This is a helmet game, all right? This is the cardinal gold, Trojan logo, the Wolverine stripes. This is one of those helmet games. This is blue blood versus blue blood. And USC needs to win this game because it is the perfect remedy, the perfect antidote for what ails them right now. Beating a top-ranked team is a box that Lincoln Riley has to check off. They should have done it against Illinois on the road, but you have to defend your home turf, and that's coming up in 2 weeks after the bye week. This should be a snot bubble game. I want to see a physical USC, especially on defense. The offense, they'll do their thing. Defense, bring it. Now we got one more segment to go. It's coming up. Talked about it. Undisciplined, aggressive, reputation. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers, if you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets that you can use across the entire FanDuel app. You're going to love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet. If you like doing the player prop bets, boom, FanDuel checks that box. Building a same-game parlay, check out FanDuel. Or maybe you just want to jump into the action live as it unfolds, get over to FanDuel.com. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. So you want to know how undisciplined USC has been this year? Let's just use this last game. Perfect example, because much of the same from what we've seen in the first 4 games leading up to Game 5. In this game, USC committed 8 penalties, 69 yards. 69 yards is kind of on the low number. 8 is on the high number. So right now, USC ranks 127th in the country in penalty yards per game, and they're tied for 123rd in penalties per game. That's not where you want to be. You just don't want to be that low. You know, I can deal with aggressive and some undisciplined penalties as long as you're up there in the 50 percentile range. When you start getting into the triple digits, you're really, 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 really bad, really, really bad. That's a major emphasis. I went way more than 3 reallys. On Saturday, USC gave Illinois 4 first downs on penalties. That's just unacceptable. That's undisciplined ball. And one penalty, literally, and this was on the offense, but it took points off the board. That whole ineligible man downfield call. That just can't happen. Just can't happen. I mentioned on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC with MVP3, Marvin Powell. Look, I mentioned Keyshawn Silver's penalty. You cannot have that at that point in the game. You had already triggered the Illinois offensive line player. The ref had already thrown a flag for that. What are you thinking, ripping the dude's helmet off and soliciting a second flag, thus canceling out the penalties? I mean, that's how bad things have been with USC's penalty problems this year. They can't even control their discipline when they need to, when the other team's willing to march 15 yards off in the wrong direction. Now, did USC avoid a hands to the face call? Yes. I guess there's hope. A little bit of growth. Thank you. Good job, guys. Do it 2 games in a row. But with that said, there was still another offsides call on Cameron Crawford, of all people. And it happened on a 3rd down and 5. Yeah, that gave Illinois a first down. As I mentioned, 4 first downs on penalties. So not only are they undisciplined at the worst possible times, they're now suffering from their reputation. I mean, That one time in the game where a USC cornerback was in the position to break up a pass. I'm talking about DJ Harvey late in the game on that last offensive drive where they set up for the winning field goal. He gets tagged with a pass interference penalty. Was it a penalty? I don't know, but he was in really good position. I just don't think you make that call. That's all I'm saying. We know the officiating in the conference sucks donkey, but that one just seemed, I don't know. Based on reputation, I guess. I'm not talking about DJ Harvey. I'm talking about USC secondary being known for pass interference. But again, the discipline issues aren't just about penalties. I talked about Waymo's fumble. That's the second time this season where USC has lost a fumble on its opening possession. Remember, it happened against Georgia Southern. And it continues the streak. This is a little perplexing. But since that opening drive against Missouri State, USC has not scored on their opening possession. That's a little, should that be concerning? Should that be concerning? You can get away with it against Georgia Southern. You can't get away with it on the road against Illinois, obviously. So that has to be fixed during these next 2 weeks. You got the bye week and you got the game week leading up to the Michigan game. And here's the last thing I think I want to bring up. There was this from Brett Bielema, Illinois' head coach, after the game. This is what I'm talking about. This personifies USC being undisciplined. This isn't aggressive. This is dumb. This is what Coach Bielema said. It was a mindset playing these guys. We knew we were going to play a certain type of style and instill our will. They had done some things in pregame that I knew our guys were pretty riled up about. So he was basically intimating that USC's players were doing a lot of jawbone, a lot of trash talking, a lot of taunting. You saw it happen during the game, on kickoff coverage, during touchbacks. I love that they're running through the end zone, giving 100% all the way through, even after the whistle. But don't be hooping and hollering and waving your arms and getting the student section and the band all juiced up. USC, this team, this program right now has not earned the right to get other teams and their fans ticked off. They just haven't. You do that type of stuff after you win on the road, if you got to do it. I'm not saying go plant your flag at midfield, but do your talking after the game. Do your talking during the game with the action. MVP the third. That's what he said on the show yesterday. Hey, go be tough during the play. You don't have to tell someone you're tough. Go show them. All right. So had to get that out of the way. Again, ready to turn the page. We're done with Illinois. I know, unless something comes up where I have to reopen the wound. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. One last thing. Hey, everyone, college football fans, did you know Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff? It's your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of the Locked On Big 12, he leads the conversation, along with two-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, and former college star Jesse Hawley, and Locked On's own local experts. A college football preview only. Locked On can do. College football kicks off every Thursday throughout the season, and it's only on Fire TV. I am only here at Locked On USC 5 times a week, sometimes more. And then, you know what? When you're done making Locked On USC your first listen every day, don't forget to go check out weareusc.com. Tons of written content. Great stuff this week. And then also got the Inside the Trojan Huddle. We got that panel show going. So I'll be back with another episode of Locked On USC tomorrow. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.